Tucker Carlson and Laura Loomer are tearing each other apart, which is a lot of fun. The thing that's not fun is what Laura Loomer has succeeded in pushing for, which is dragging the United States into war with Iran. And right now, as we speak, and this is a developing story, you have Douglas McGregor, who used to be Trump's foreign policy advisor, unfortunately no longer, reporting that the son of the supreme leader in Iran is attempting to seek refuge in Dubai. Iran has cleared its airspace. You have military assets from the United States moving toward the Middle East. So it looks like we could be at war with Iran as early as tonight. With that in mind, Tucker Carlson and Laura Loomer are tearing each other to shreds over the latest battle in this conservative civil war. I don't even know if I would consider Laura Loomer part of any political ideology. She's Israel first. That's the only thing that matters to her. And it shows. So Carlson and Loomer have feuded repeatedly, and Loomer constantly posts about Tucker Carlson. And their latest brawl started recently after Carlson wrote about Loomer in his morning newsletter. And this will provide a little bit of comedic relief because the writing here is amazing. So Loomer's Rumble show, whose viewers deserve sympathy and prayer, is called Loomer Unleashed. It should receive an immediate rebrand to Loomer Unhinged. Jake, what are your 2 cents?
I love it. All right, look, for all of Tucker Carlson's faults, he is definitely America first. And you can say, well, I don't like parts of America first, and I like other parts, but he is what he is. And so he does not work for a foreign government and doesn't care about foreign governments. It's sometimes to a fault. Laura Loomer cares about Israel more than everything else on planet Earth combined. If you don't know that, you're really super dense. Like, you don't know anything if you don't know that. And so, but what's more important for us guys than this interesting, and it is a super interesting storyline of this clash inside MAGA is, yes, but how is that going to affect policy? And even though Tucker Carlson is 1,000 times bigger than Laura Loomer, the Laura Loomers of the world run this place. So Tucker probably will not win the policy fight. But if that's short term versus long term might be a very different story. So a lot to get to.
So further, the newsletter writes, take one of her, meaning Laura Loomer's, podcast cocktail hour tweets from last night, which predictably called for an attack on Iran. Bomb the Ayatollah, the message stated without another word of analysis. Details are not her strong suit. Could such an assault prompt another US war in the Middle East? Could it get Americans killed and destabilize the region even further? Would civilians die too? She answered none of those questions because she does not care. The reason she lusts for a conflict is that she thinks it would help the nation she actually cares about, which is Israel. Her loyalty to that country guides her every move. And it's true. I mean, like, Loomer has repeatedly accused Tucker Carlson of harming the conservative movement by criticizing other right wingers, but that's not what she's really talking about. Right now, I mean, there was a poll that was just put out in regard to Republican sentiment in regard to the US going to war with Iran. Even a majority, it's a slim majority, but even a majority of Republican voters do not want to get dragged into a war with Iran. But it doesn't matter. Loomer seems to get what she wants in this regard. So in response to the attacks that Loomer, sends Tucker's way, Tucker Carlson responded with, establishment Republicans spent the beginning of the 21st century committing their lives to serving corporate, donor, and foreign interests before those of regular ballot casters. Why else would they support open borders, job-killing free trade, the Iraq and Afghanistan catastrophes, and maintaining the tax code's carried interest loophole? Trump rejected all of that. I don't know if I agree with that, but anyway, Trump rejected all of that, and it fueled his climb to the top of the party. I mean, he rejected all of that in his campaigning, but campaign Trump is different from President Trump. Now Loomer and her friends want to undo this transformation and return the GOP to its days as an obedient special interest lapdog more attention for the Israel lobby, less for the American people. I mean, I wholeheartedly agree that that's what Laura Loomer wants. I mean, she could not possibly care less about this country or the American people. Obviously, we're dealing with terrible economic decline in this country from the vast majority of Americans. Consumer debt is at an all-time high. No one can afford to buy a home, even if you're making a six-figure income. I mean, it's out of control. But don't worry, we've got endless money for empire building and foreign wars.
Yeah, so look, the Mark Levins and the Laura Loomers have a microscopic audience. Their influence on voters is nearly nil, right? So yeah, do they have the pro-Israel crowd? Yeah, but they always had that anyway, and that's a tiny, tiny crowd, right? So Ben Shapiro is different. Daily Wire used to have a real audience, not as much anymore. But you would think like, oh, well, if you have a giant cable show or a big media outlet, that it might affect the politicians, and it doesn't, especially with Trump. When he's running for office, he's very aware of that and courts it aggressively because that's smart. And that's a rare time I'll say that Trump is smart on that, but it is a good strategy because you want to collect as many voters as possible. But once he's in office, he only cares about money, right? So he's like, voters, what do you mean? I already scammed them twice. I'm already in office again. And they believed all the junk I was telling them. Now let's get rich, right? And let's just sell out to every donor there is. That's where it shifts to Laura Loomer's advantage. So they might be small, but the pro-Israel crowd in this country is obviously enormously wealthy. And they donate a tremendous amount of money. So Trump should know, one pro-Israel family alone, the Adelsons gave him over $337 million. That is an enormous amount of money, and they financed 94% of Congress. So we could have, on the left, we got the Young Turks and just about everybody else that's saying, no, please, free Palestine, end the genocide. Don't attack Iran, are you nuts, right? And on the right now, and by the way, I have never seen, and you've got to call it as it is, and you got to give credit where credit is due. I have never seen a single human being move as many people in America as Tucker Carlson did on the right. He almost single-handedly moved like an enormous percentage of their voters from pro-Israel to anti-Israel, at least not funding Israel anymore with our money. But
that's why, oh, sorry to interrupt you, but that's why Loomer like loathes him so much. And by the way, it's not just about Israel. I mean, his monologues about Venezuela, I wholeheartedly agreed with. I thought they were smart. I thought that they were well thought out. I wish our president actually thought through foreign policy decisions in a similar way. But I have to bring it up because do you think it was a bad look that Tucker Carlson was at that oil executive White House meeting? Because it did seem weird that he was criticizing what the Trump administration did, but he attended that event.
No, not at all. Being honestly, if Bernie was president, I'd go to the White House as often as possible. And if Bernie was doing a deal with the oil companies, which is hilarious, hilarious thought, I would want to be in the room, not to go rah rah, go get him, but to try to influence it in the better direction, right? So we have no idea what he was doing inside that room, and they're both right wing. He'd be crazy not to go. You want to influence the president as much as you possibly can. So now finally we get to, but who's going to win in this fight? Because Tucker did move almost certainly all the voters under 50 that are on the right now, they're gone for Israel, right? And Candace had a role, others had a role, but Tucker was number one. Okay, so none of that matters in Washington because they could give a rat's ass about any voter. The politicians in Washington, including Donald Trump, think that the American citizens are a joke to be used and manipulated. And so they love the Laura Loomers of the world. They're like, oh yeah, fake news, let's use it for our own advantage, etc. right? So in the short term, Laura Loomers of the world will win, and we will almost certainly attack Iran. And we'll do it for Israel, and we'll try to put that puppet in for them, the Shah, etc. And okay, but then it seems like the story's over. It didn't matter how many voters you moved. Now almost the entire left and right don't want to fund Israel anymore and don't want to attack Iran. It doesn't matter. But it does matter because I think that if Tucker Carlson runs in 2028, they could have all the money in the world. They're not going to be able to win that primary, okay?
I agree with you on that. Yeah. I mean, look, I'll give you the numbers right now. So Quinnipiac poll that just came out. Dave DeCamp is sharing it on X if you want to take a look at it for yourselves. 7 out of 10 Americans do not want the US to take military action against Iran. And when it comes to Republicans specifically, 53% oppose. So I've been a little bit down today because the propagandists have done a really good job manufacturing this atmosphere where it seems like there's widespread support for the US getting dragged into this war. But the real numbers don't really bear that out.
Yeah, and by the way, the reason why it looks like an illusion is because it is an illusion. Mainstream media works for Israel. So they're like, oh, well, those poor protesters, we have to do something for their freedom. Laura Loomer is so right. This is about their freedom. And that's why we need to put a dictator in place that'll work for Israel. I thought you said it was about freedom. Okay, so they pervert, and then this 12,000, 20,000 number, I just want to be clear about that. So that's the number they're saying, oh, that's the number of protesters that are killed in the streets by the terrible Ayatollah. Ayatollah is terrible, okay? But did they really kill that many people? We have no idea. The internet is totally disconnected. We're getting no real news reporting from inside. Where did the number come from? CBS. And CBS is now owned by Israel. Barry Weiss runs it for David Ellison, who proudly says that he's like loyal to Israel, etc. So Israel's making up that number to go, oh my God. And one of our members wrote in, great point. This is like the Saddam's killing the babies in the incubators story. Every time they have some outlandish piece of propaganda. By the way, later in the war, Israel will do, and we keep saying Israel and America is doing the attacking. No, it's our troops that might die. It's our money that's gonna get wasted, but Israel is engineering all of it. So later they will order us probably to do, if they don't do it themselves, one of the things they pretended that Iran was doing, they'll probably do themselves. That's their pattern every single time. Oh, can you believe the Hamas is raping the Israelis and all the sexual assaults and murdering of the babies? And oh, they've killed so many babies. And then they go and kill 20,000 Palestinian kids and they rape Palestinians in the prisons. So
on camera.
Yeah. So look, guys, war is coming. Loomer's gonna win in the short run, but there's gonna be a reckoning over this. And this, I guarantee you, this war will be a disaster. It will not be clean like the other operations. Every time you ring the bell below, an angel gets his wings. Totally not true, but it does keep you updated on our live shows.